find it fascinating how the design of a pediatric waiting room can completely transform a child's healthcare experience. Did you ever stop to think about how those first few moments in a waiting area can set the tone for their entire visit?
Absolutely. Research actually shows that children often feel bored, depressed, and anxious in these spaces, which negatively affects their overall medical experience. We must ensure a positive environment from the moment they walk through the door,
And it's more than making things look pretty, isn't it? There's an entire science behind creating these spaces.
right? It's called supportive design theory, and studies show it works particularly well in childcare settings. When we provide positive elements like control, distraction, and opportunities for social interaction, we can significantly reduce children's environmental stress.
Let's talk about the basics first. What are the key 80 requirements for these spaces?
Well, the fundamental requirements start with dimensions. You need pathways that are at least 36 inches wide and doorways with a minimum clear opening of 32 inches when the doors open at 90 degrees. These measurements ensure proper wheelchair and stroller access.
Makes sense. And what about turning space? I imagine that's pretty important too.
Exactly. You need a minimum turning space of 60 inches in diameter for wheelchairs to make complete turns. And don't forget about the reception desk. It needs a section no higher than 36 inches with knee clearance underneath for wheelchair users.
I've noticed that some waiting rooms feel cramped while others feel more spacious. Does size really matter that much?
You know, it's interesting. Research has shown that a large, spacious waiting room actually increases patients' perceptions of care quality and comfort. However, it's also important to balance that with privacy. When social interaction isn't needed, a large space might feel like it lacks intimacy.
That's a great point. We'll come back to that in just a moment. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
At Little People's Cove, we believe every child deserves a space that's both accessible and imaginative. Our curated catalog features commercial grade furniture and toys engineered to meet or exceed safety standards, while sparking curiosity in every age group. From pediatric clinics to libraries and classrooms, we partner with child development specialists to ensure each product supports motor skills and creative play. Visit us at littlepeoplescove.com and give kids a place built just for them.
Now, speaking of creating the right environment, how important is natural light in these spaces?
Oh, incredibly important. Studies have consistently shown that sufficient windows and natural lighting have a significant positive correlation with children's satisfaction. Natural light and a quiet environment can make a huge difference in how comfortable children feel.
Mm-hmm. And what about color choices? I've seen everything from stark white to rainbow explosions.
You know what's fascinating? Research shows that users actually give higher comfort scores to rooms in warm colors like orange or yellow. However, finding the right balance is necessary. Teenagers, for example, prefer bright colors while still wanting a more mature environment.
Have you ever considered how noise affects these spaces?
Definitely. Sound management is vital in pediatric waiting areas. You want to use sound-absorbing materials and create zones that contain noise within activity areas while maintaining quieter spaces for rest or privacy. Some practices even use carefully selected background music to mask distracting sounds and reduce stress.
Speaking of different zones, how do you handle varying age groups in the same space?
That's one of our biggest challenges, yet it's where thoughtful design really shines. You want to create dedicated zones for different age groups, perhaps a toddler area with low tables and sturdy toys, a school-age section with educational games and puzzles, and teen spaces with charging stations and more private seating arrangements.
I understand that supporting facilities are also vital. What are some essentials?
Three key elements come to mind: mother and infant rooms for privacy and nursing, accessible drinking fountains at different heights, and proper storage for strollers and personal items. These might seem like small details, but they make a huge difference in the overall experience.
And how do you ensure these spaces work for children with special needs?
That's where sensory-conscious design comes in. We recommend creating quiet retreat spaces with reduced visual stimulation, using adjustable lighting to avoid harsh fluorescence, and incorporating tactile guidance elements. Remember, every child experiences the space differently.
This has been incredibly informative. Before we wrap up, what would you say is the single most important thing to remember when designing these spaces?
Without a doubt, it's remembering that these spaces need to serve everyone, from infants to teenagers, from typically developing children to those with special needs, from families with strollers to those using wheelchairs. When we design with universal accessibility in mind while maintaining a child-friendly environment, we create spaces that truly support healing.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. For our listeners who want to learn more about creating accessible pediatric spaces, you can visit littlepeoplescove.com. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure discussing how we can make healthcare spaces better for all children.